Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Apple Gaming SE. We are continuing on this little podcast journey from the Macapalooza week, where we're talking all about the Mac. We are joined by just a guy who's fishing, named Jfishin.
Hello.
And all-around cool guy, MPT, also known as the one, the only, the venerable Mac Pro Tips.
What's up, everybody? I did not tell Gaming SE to say that. I did not tell him to say that.
There was no prep work at all. We just rolled into it natural like that.
Yeah.
My goodness, gentlemen, it is the weekend. We made it. It's Friday. How are y'all doing?
We made it.
Doing great. Really excited to do this.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. I think a lot more has come out. The benefit of doing this on a Friday night is like you kind of get to the end of all the news cycle stuff that's come out, right? So we have benchmarks that we can talk about. I think we're getting some insights now into what Apple Intelligence can and can't do. Just as a couple ideas.
Yeah, I don't know the first thing about Apple Intelligence, to be honest.
I'm not, I'm stuck on the Intel side of the Macs still. So if I get one of these, this will be my first Apple Silicon Mac. So I am outside the Apple Intelligence sphere so far.
It's going to blow your mind if you do get one.
That's what Tim keeps telling me. Or Craig, or who's the who's the guy who did the announcements this week? I forget his name already.
They're all Tim.
They're all Tim. They're just different flavors of Tim.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll just roll into this by saying we'll start with day one. We'll talk about the iMac. M4 iMac, updated from the M1.
It was the M1 or M2
was it? Oh, did they do an M2 iMac?
I think it might have even been M3.
No way. Really?
Now I got to pull up the Mac Tracker. See, this is why I keep this app. I keep Mac Tracker on my Mac just for this alone.
Oh yeah, I think it was M3. So they just put the base chip of each generation in it?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
I don't know. They might have skipped M2 and did M1 and then it never updated it for a while and then did M3.
Let's see. No, it is
finally.
Yeah, iMac 24-inch M1 2021, and that ran to October of 23. And then they did iMac of November last year. So you're right. This is probably M3, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, you're right. It is M3. I don't know why I thought it was still M1. I guess that's because all the charts, they compared everything to the M1 generation.
They do like to do that.
Yeah, they do. That they do. All right, so, well, belay my last, but we have new colors on the 24-inch iMac. It is the first desktop where they really heavily leaned into the basically everything there is about Apple Intelligence and what you can do with it, and just I mean it's cool. It's the iMac. It's what it's supposed to be. The vibrant, poppy. This is Apple. We're bright colors. We're inviting kind of deal. I guess just go around the room. What did you love about the presentation? What excites you about the iMac? What did you dislike? What do you hate? Whatever you feel like.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
I mean, I totally dig the colors. I think iMac was my first Mac ever, and back then, and it was the aluminum silver one with the black borders. I think the white looks really good, and I think it's like a great conversation starter. It's like a centerpiece for the room. And I just think it's fresh. I think it's cool, and I dig it.
Jfishin?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the iMac to me has always been like a background product. It's like I've always liked them. They've always looked cool to me. I think the M4 chip being the base chip in this, the only option that you can get in this iMac is the base M4. It's a good like living room Mac,
stick it in a kitchen.
Exactly. Yep. if you like pink, you finally have a pink color to choose from for your color options.
I
So
liked that pink red though.
Yeah, what's everybody's favorite color?
Red.
um,
Prior
No,
generation
of
red.
the iMac.
I mean, I think he's meaning iMac color, right?
I know. What
Yeah,
he means.
yeah.
I'm talking about the last. My favorite color was the last generation iMac that was quote unquote pink, but it was actually red on the back. So
Salmon, I
Oh.
think it was, right?
I forget what the color was now. But not jokingly, this generation, I don't know. I'm kind of torn between the green and the blue. To be honest, I think the orange is a little too garish. Like there's nothing in my house that would make that look good. It would just stand out, and people would go, "Why do you have that over there?" So, I think something a little more subdued, like the green or the blue, would be better.
I like that. I like that blue.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
I'm
It
the
is a
same
nice
too.
blue. It's kind of a. I like it more than the prior blue for sure.
It like reminds me of a toy. It's like Fisher Price's My First Mac, almost.
Oh well, that's it. Apple's going to cancel that color then.
I'm looking at some of the like hardware bumps. New 12 megapixel front camera center stage. It's pretty cool.
It's going to be a wide angle. In order to get that the desk view, it's got to be a wide angle camera.
Right.
And I don't
And
even
then-
think, just as an interjection, I if looking at that, I'm scrolling down the overview page here. I think they actually show off the wide angle camera, mic, speakers, yeah, where it'll follow you around the room. Even in their demo video, it's kind of grainy. It's not like a super sharp picture.
I saw that. I saw that. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. I mean, they've got the iPhone cameras are so good, and yet the iMac cameras are so not. And starting at $1,300, it's just kind of like, Apple, we could do a little better than this, don't you
It's
think?
also got a nano texture display. Is that just like a matte display, we think?
So, if I understand it right, and I've never seen one in person, though I will be happy to go down to my Apple store soon and hopefully see one. It is a type of matte finish, but it allows more light to come through than your standard kind of matte coating that's on most monitors. So it's closer
Gotcha.
to like a glossy level color pop while being anti-reflective.
I mean, I didn't own it, but I loved that old chunky MacBook Pro with the matte display. I thought that was one of the nicest displays. That was like a 2010 MacBook Pro maybe or earlier. If it's anything like that, I'm really pumped, and I would have to think about getting it on my next Mac.
Yeah, as I think I'd have to look at the pre-order section here. Let's take a look. I want to say that's like $200 to upgrade to that.
I think it's 150. I like the matte screen, but I'm not sure if I want to spend the 150 to get it. Just the screens are bright, enough to where I'm not really concerned about the glare.
Yeah, nano texture glass is 200, but here's the trick. It's 200, but you can only get it on the model that starts at $1,499. So you are talking about $1,700 entry level for this thing. So the iMac that has the 8-core, 8 GPU M4, which is the Bend M4, is $1,300, and there's no nano texture option for that.
Yeah, probably not worth it unless like
It's a pretty steep
you
ask.
specifically do work in the sun or something.
Okay, I see. The iMac is a $200 upgrade, but the MacBook is the 150.
I see.
for the
Okay.
nano
Yeah.
texture.
It is a smaller screen, so I guess I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
The MacBook, since it's an mini LED, you can use it's an app called Vivid, and it like boosts up the screen to like its highest HDR brightness.
Really?
So I use that when I'm outside, and that does the trick.
Speaking of that, I was thinking of the app because you told me about it before, and with the MacBook announcement, they were saying that the screen gets brighter when you're outdoors. So I was wondering what the app could possibly do with that combination.
It'll make it even brighter.
Yeah.
I think the peak on that one, I know we're deviating into the MacBook Pro territory. I think I was looking at the tech specs earlier, and it said HDR peak is like 1600 nits.
I wonder if the iMac will ever get the mini LED display.
That technology is like so new. I think it's pretty rough.
It's expensive also.
Yeah, I think it's probably expensive because it's not very consistent with the quality of the panels that they're manufacturing. So I'm putting my money on it's going to be quite a number of years yet. And if we do, we'll see it on like an iMac Pro if they ever bring one back.
Mm-hmm.
How big are the screens on this? 24 inches?
Yep.
I want that 30-inch.
Yeah, yeah. That's what PBY said when I talked to him. He was like, "Nah, I've got like a panoramic, 32-inch monitor. I can't do the 24. It's too small." So,
I mean, that's how it was back in the day. It was 21 inches or 27 inches, right?
it's 21 and a half and 27.
So give us 24 and 30, cowards.
Yeah, cowards.
Wait, is the iMac 24 or is it 21? I thought it was 24.
This newest one is 24.
The current one's 24, and then looking back into the older
I thought
they were 21 and a
I
half.
thought like the M1. I thought the M1 was also 24, or did they just came up?
Yeah, same screen size.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been basically an internal and an upgrade of the internals while keeping the exterior looking the same because it's still a 4.5K Retina.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's definitely an iMac Pro in a vault somewhere.
yeah, I was about to say we're talking about the Intel iMacs that were 27 inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're going back in time a little bit. There was
Great computer.
at one time. Let's see, where is it here? Come on, Mac Tracker, don't fail me now. Okay, 2009. There was a 24-inch iMac, but it was a little more square. It was not
Aluminum, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was fatter.
Oh, for sure. Those boys were tanks. Those things were great though, because those and for the next few years, I want to say like the 2015, probably 2017, they had the really thin ones, but you could still like if you knew how to do it carefully and properly, you could take the displays off and still upgrade the internals. One of my old roommates and I did that.
I do remember that one.
Thing out. We tricked it out way too much. So
let's see what we got.
Interesting on the memory bandwidth is 120 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. So that's pretty cool.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And up to 32 gigabytes RAM, which isn't bad at all.
It goes up to 32, right? But what is if you pre-configure, if you do the configurator on this, what do you need to do to get that
32, I think.
What was that?
I think you have to sell your soul.
Yeah, I was about to say, because the base model doesn't give you 32. So you can only go to 24 on the base model. So you got to go up to, let's see, I'm checking the 1500. Yeah, so you can go up to 1500. I think I was talking about this earlier. So there's something interesting here that Apple's doing. They're creating this market segmentation thing. You can get 32 gigs of unified memory if you also get the 512 storage upgrade.
Which should be the baseline.
So you can go up to $2,100 just to get 32 gigs of memory. So you got to do. Yeah.
Tim knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly.
If you're listening to this and you heard me talking to PBY earlier, I said it to PBY. Apple are the masters at just like stepping you up the ladder of I could see myself justifying that extra $200 and another $200 and another $200, and you just like slowly climb that ladder to $2,100.
But at the end of the day, you end up with a really, really nice computer.
You do end up with a really nice computer. That is the upside. So you're gonna get your money's worth. There's no doubt about that.
It's going to be interesting to see how this iMac does as a gaming device, because even the base with 16 gigabytes and an M4 chip could potentially be pretty
It
solid.
could be pretty good because that single core, the performance cores that are in the M4 family are the same across the entire family. So M4, M4 Pro, M4 Max, they all have the same performance core and efficiency core architecture. And the early benchmarks have already proven it's the fastest single core consumer processor there is right now. At least in Geekbench. I'm not saying universally, but
Yeah, that's good. I might have to go to an Apple store and plug in my hard drive and test some games.
if they'll let you get away with that.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Yeah,
Do you know who I am?
I was thinking about that because that event that Apple had with when they were showing everybody the Macs and like media press people, I was like, because they were showing Control being shown played, and I was thinking like, I wonder if I could just right click get info and like just grab the app real quick.
Send yourself the
Right. Just, hey guys, stand. Just don't look. Oh, just look away real quick. Just tell your handler not to look. Like, hey, what's that guy doing with that Mac Mini over there? I think he just stuck it in his pocket and just buy yourself like 30 seconds on to grab it off that Thunderbolt 4 port. You know.
Yeah.
Apple Gaming SE does not condone theft.
I do not affirm nor deny these accusations. No, that's true. I do not condone theft at all. And they probably have it like tied to your Apple like, ID anyway, right? So it's going to be tied to a developer account. And if you try to launch it, it's going to be like, oh, enter your developer credentials. And like, hey, you're not the developer of this game. So Apple's pretty locked down on that. All right, cool. So I think, unless there's something I'm missing here, I think that kind of covers it. I mean, the base model, you get 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports and 2 USB 4 ports. Am I seeing that right?
That sounds right.
Because it's got 4 ports, right? They didn't like nerf it to just 2, did they?
I think other than that, did they announce like the new keyboards, mice, and trackpads that day?
Yes. Oh, no, the base model does only have 2 ports. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe this.
Yeah.
What?
That's
model.
so unnecessary. They obviously could have included all the ports.
I am shocked. That is unreal. That is unreal to me. Wow, Apple. I almost feel like
they don't want anybody buying that.
I almost, you might be right, 1, but 2, I almost feel like the people who do buy this, it's gonna just be like a device for like a store kiosk or something, right? Like if you have a high end like boutique store and you want to show off your like products that you can ship in for your customers, you know?
True.
The base model is also nerfed a bit more if you take a closer look at that line where it says Magic Keyboard right above Apple Intelligence. If you have like the configs listed,
Yeah.
like the $1,300 and the $1,500 models compared to each other, you see Magic Keyboard on the base model, and then on the upgraded version it says Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. So you don't even get Touch ID on the base model.
They really are giving you a lot for that $200. They're giving you 2 extra CPU and GPU cores, and they're giving you Touch ID, and they're giving you 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and Gigabit Ethernet.
Yeah.
Man. You got us, Apple. You got us on this one. Wow. I did
Let me
not
just add a couple of these to my cart.
Yeah, right. guess I'm spending $3,000 at Apple tonight. All right, so I think we've got what we covered, what we don't like about the iMac. Lack of ports, no Touch ID keyboard, nerfed, bend. How about that? Bend M4 entry level model. Great colors. Probably still really good performance though, because I'm assuming this is going to have a fan in it, so it'll be able to sustain performance.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. I don't know how my memory is doing on this, but if I remember correctly, when the iMac first came out, I think that bend model had 1 fan, and the higher end model had 2 fans. I could be totally wrong on this.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that might be the
Could
case.
still be the case.
Yeah.
We won't have any teardowns until they come out though.
That's
So
rampant speculation on our part. And since these are more energy efficient and it's missing 4 cores, it's probably not going to have a fan on it.
hmm
Apple's making bank on that entry level iMac though. Woo. No, those margins are
Yeah.
high. All right, so my question is for y'all: are you buying the iMac or are you leaving it on the shelf? And if you're buying, which one?
All right, well, I have a question about this little game.
Okay, go for it.
Do I only have so much money? Like, if I buy this iMac, does that mean I can't buy a different product?
No. We're gonna do each product, but like think of it like if you were in the market for a new Mac and you were looking at an iMac, would one of these iMacs be the one for you?
Gotcha.
I think
Yeah.
I think I would get one if I was looking for like a kitchen Mac or a living room Mac just to have as like a guest computer. I would just get the base model and just have it forever. You know, it'll last quite a while just being a guest computer. So
All right, that thing will probably
That's-
last you a
that's-
decade easy.
right? So yeah, I mean that's what I would have my use case for it and what I would buy it for. But yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Like, since I'm a bachelor right now in paradise, I don't have a family or anything to like have like a main driver in the house. But like if I had kids or
Mhm.
something like that, I feel like it'd be a great like first computer for the family. So I would buy it. But again, like Jfishin said, more for like the just kind of centerpiece in a room, not necessarily for like video editing or stuff like that. Not
Sure.
for work, but for play.
Yeah, it's more of an art. It's more of an art piece than a.
As a can't believe I called myself a bachelor.
Well,
yeah, I
somebody-
think the iMac.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying. I think the iMac, the base model, it's like honestly, I think it's a pretty good value. Once you start upgrading, the value starts dwindling. You know, you get that 4.5K Retina display. You get a whole M4 computer for $1,300, and then you look at something like the Studio display, which is what starts at like $1,500. It's 27 inches, but it's basically the same screen technology. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
think it's a pretty banging computer, if you ask me. But
And if you're not very tech savvy, it's like perfect.
yeah,
Yeah. It's the all-in-one. Definitely the all-in-one. Like just it's in a box. Perfect computer in a box, right?
One cable, one magnetic cable you got to plug in. Comes with keyboard and mouse and a webcam. Speakers built in. It's a nice little package.
Good quality speakers too. I mean, or at least I assume they still are from the M1 and the M3 variants of this.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I actually got to disagree with you. I think the value proposition on this one is actually that $1,500 price because that Touch ID keyboard, those biometrics
Yeah.
are crucial, and then having those 2 extra Thunderbolt ports. And I can tell you, as somebody who does have a family, I'm leaving it on the shelf. I'm not getting this thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm leaving it. I don't think it's that good. I think it's good, but I don't think it's. I don't know that I'm convinced that it's $1,300 good. Right? That's the trick. So.
Do you see those wallpapers they're advertising with them?
Oh yeah, the iMac wallpaper. They're great.
I want that.
So, they'll be out soon. Don't you worry. Somebody's gonna clip those and get the high res and dump them somewhere.
Nice.
I want the ones that'll be like dynamic though, where it's like light mode and dark mode.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Except I don't have an iMac, so it would look stupid as a wallpaper. Like, why do you have an iMac wallpaper on your MacBook?
Because I want to.
I was about to say, do what I want. All right. I think that buttons us up there on the iMac. So we'll go to day 2, unless there's any last minutes. Any other thoughts, ideas, comments, questions, concerns?
I think iMac is done.
I'm ready to go. Let's
All
go
right.
day 2.
Day 2, Mac Mini. Woo-wee! This one also
Wow.
super, super small, but gives us the M4 Pro. So I have a special place in my heart for the Mac Mini. I've been a long time Mac Mini lover I have over on my shelf right now. It is still, to this day, my media PC. I have a 6 terabyte hard drive hooked up to it. I have a G4 Mac Mini from 2005 sitting right across the room, and it has all of my HD movies, and it streams it over the network. So that thing it's got 1.5, I think it's 1.5 gigs or it's a 1 gig of RAM and a 1.5 gigahertz G4 processor. So yeah, it's not much, but all it has to do is serve files. So I have a special place in my heart for these things. My first Apple desktop was a Mac Mini, the 2012 model with the Core i7, and I used that thing for the better part of a decade. So I have a special place in my heart for this particular model for sure.
So if you got a new M4 Mac, you think it would be a Mini?
I'm leaning this way, but there's some things about the MacBook Pro that are tempting me as well. But I'm kind of leaning this way.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable how small it is. I just have some concerns.
Oh, do you now? Do tell.
The last gen Mini is giant compared to this, and probably has a lot more cooling capabilities. And I'm worried that, like, I mean, for you especially, SE, if you're going to be gaming on this thing, I just want to make sure that the thermals aren't like a step down from what the last generation Mini was. They say they've got this like new tier system of like cooling the computer that they're saying is a way to guide air through the device's foot to efficiently cool the system. But just from like a gaming standpoint, I'm just a little concerned.
Yeah, I'm trying.
It could be nothing.
I'm trying to find where they actually have on the overview page the demo where they show you the heat as it moves through the system, like their little 3D model of it.
Yeah, you might have to go to the
I found it.
Apple website.
Built to chill. Here we go. Yeah, they got a little 3D like model video that they show here. So I'm not super concerned about this because it's gonna pull it's basically split, right? It's got, to me, it looks like it's about 2/3 of the intake area or the fan area is intake, and about 1/3 is exhaust. And the fact that it's double stacked like this, I think it spreads around the heat pretty good. And you got to think the M4 processors in these things are significantly more energy efficient and going to put out way less heat than the prior models, right?
Yeah, it's like the 3 nanometer technology.
Right. So I'm not super concerned about it myself. I can tell you from that Core i7 Mac Mini that I had from 2012, that thing got hot now. That thing consistently ran at like 85 Celsius from the day I bought it. It was all the time cooking itself. So I'm not super worried about it. I think they're more durable than people want to believe. But it is an interesting design choice to go this small, a 5x5. It's a hair taller than the prior generation. But is this the next like 5 to 10 year iteration of the Mac Mini? Is this what they're going to look like for the next decade? Because you have to think the prior generation model was basically from the time that Apple switched from the Core 2 Duo to the Core i series processors, the Intels, all the way up until this week has looked like the M2 Mac Mini design. So is this another 10-year design, I guess is my question.
I mean, I think when Apple changes something, it's kind of set in stone for a while, right?
Right.
Yeah, they probably invested a ton in terms of manufacturing and design to get this. So I highly doubt they're going to change much. Although they might change that power button placement depending on the complaints.
I don't think they're budget on that.
On and off. I don't get the big deal. Just lift it up and press the buttons.
I think there's probably more room down there for your fingertip than you think there is. And if you've ever pressed like the power button on, any other Mac ever, it doesn't take much effort. It really doesn't take much force at all.
I've got tiny little fingies.
Yeah, me too. So it's like I can get up under there, but if you can't, I'll show it on the screen now for y'all watching. If you can't, Basic Apple Guy has a link to the perfect product for you. It's $29. It's called the Magic Poker, and it's basically just a little hooked rod, and you just can flip it right up under the corner of the Mac Mini there, and just boop, and it's great. $30. Get it at your local Apple store today.
Wow.
Or November 8th.
That's real.
Pre-order today.
That's a real thing.
No, it's not a real thing.
Wow.
I had you convinced though. That's funny.
Yeah, that was very. I bought it. It also like makes me wonder if we should expect the studio to get a downsize and it'll just be two minis stacked on top of each other, or will they keep it like in that giant encasing?
The studio has the Ultra chip, right? So I think they have
studios. Doesn't the studio have Pro also?
Yes.
No, the studio has the Max chip, and then it has the
Max and
Ultra
Ultra?
chip. So that's yeah,
Let me go look.
yeah. So it's got that cooling. They definitely have a dense little cube of cooling in there.
It's a big computer. The studio.
Yeah, it's a chunk compared to the Mini now.
Yeah, you're right. It is Max and Ultra only on the studio. You are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My prediction with the Mac Mini is that I think it's going to get a little bit warmer than the older design, but I think it's going to be fine. I think
it's going to be a beast.
Yeah, I'm not worried about
I think
it.
you're still not going to hear it.
I'm not worried about it. But I will say this. I think the Mac Studio design is also meant to visually separate the Mac Studio from the Mac Mini, right? Like if you're not familiar with Apple's product stack and you walk into an office and you see somebody with a Mac Mini and you got a Mac Studio at your house, at your office, and you're like, "Oh, why is your Mac Studio so tiny?" And it's like, "Oh, it's not a Mac Studio, it's a Mac Mini." Now this won't be confusing, except they'll ask, "How did you get a silver Apple TV?" So,
Right. It does look like an Apple TV.
it does. It's interesting how close they are in size. It's actually the Apple TV is really, really. I forget who put one of the tech influencers who went out there put a video up comparing the different sizes of the old Mac Mini, the new one, and the Apple TV, and it's interesting to watch it like step down. You can see like the generational changes.
So what are you thinking of potentially getting if you did get a Mini?
Ooh, are we there yet? What do we not like about the Mini? Let's ask that. What is about the new Mac Mini that you're not feeling?
Maybe I could look at it.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty good redesign, all in all. Maybe I think actually that I saw when the leaks were coming out for the Mac Mini, they had the power cord of the iMac for the Mac Mini in the like what's it called, the render of the leak, and it's not the case on the confirmed brand new Mac Mini. It's like a traditional plug-in friction style power cord.
Yeah, it's just your hot cold plugs. It's not anything fancy.
I mean, that's my only nitpick, I guess.
I feel like you were expecting a magnetic one.
Yeah,
cool. I was expecting the iMac power cord because like you could take this, on the go if you wanted to, if you had like a dual setup type of thing, take it back and forth. It's more portable than the iMac. Obviously, you're never really unplugging the iMac cord.
I think you're right. I think that there's a much stronger case for the MagSafe cable on the Mac Mini than there is on the iMac.
Does the Studio have an SD card slot?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would have loved to have an SD card slot. Happy that there's an HDMI. And what's the difference between the two ports on the front and the three on the back?
So on the front, it's two USB-C ports that are 3.1, so they're 10 gigabits per second, and on the back you have 3 Thunderbolt ports.
And then you get the option for Thunderbolt 5 if you get the Pro chip.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure of. I forgot if it was Thunderbolt 4 or 5 across the lineup or just the Pro. So it's just.
I feel like it's pretty generous. I like that.
And if you get the Pro and you get the Thunderbolt 5, the front ones are still regular 3.1 speeds. It's
Yeah.
just the back ones that go.
But I do think like the Thunderbolt ports on the back, or at least let me say, this is I believe this is the case, just based on prior generations of the Thunderbolt lane allotment to the M3 and M2 designs. I'm pretty confident the two USB on the front are dedicated 10 gigabits each on each port, and that the Thunderbolts on the back are each dedicated on each lane, right? So if it's Thunderbolt 4, it's going to be 40 gigabits per second on each connection, while the Thunderbolt 5 connections will be up to 120 gigabits per second, but I think that 120 is only for a single dedicated device. If you plug in more than one thing, I'm pretty sure they all drop down back to 80 gigabit per second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's not like I can't really find anything to nitpick on this Mac Mini. It's pretty cool. I wish Apple kind of marketed it a little bit towards as like a cool gaming type console, but they're still doing their toes in the water with gaming.
They show that one picture with like a DualSense controller on the table with it. And I'm like, yeah. I'll take it. That's a step in the right direction.
Good enough. Good enough.
Yep.
I think,
but really,
I think if I was going to nitpick it, I think I would just want to see colors on the Mac Mini like we get on the iMac. I would just like to see some more colorful.
A space black Mac Mini would be super sick.
Yeah. Then they'll really get confused if it's they're saving it for the Apple Studio, but two, then people would really get confused and be like, it's like, oh, you have a really big Apple TV. So
yeah. And it's the first Mac to be completely carbon neutral, so that's always a plus.
I mean, that's a good that's a good politicking, like corporate politicking line. I don't think that's true in the least. I think that there's going to be a lot of carbon offset credits that they're buying to make it this way. Don't hear what I'm not saying.
For every Mac Mini sold, Apple will plant a tree.
Yeah, right. You're going to need like 10 acres of trees for all that aluminum.
But for $700, what is that? You get 16 gigabytes memory, 512 gigabyte SSD. It's like you got a little powerhouse for less than $1,000.
It starts at $6 or $5.99.
Yep.
That's definitely education prices, right?
That's
you're right.
That's standard store prices.
What about EDU prices? Let me check that.
They're probably 10% reduced, right, or 15%. So it'll probably be like $549.
It could be $100 off.
Oh, would be $100? Okay.
That's a great deal. That's a really great deal.
I don't have it up, but it might be $100 off. That's insane value.
I think it's crazy that when Steve Jobs first introduced the first Mac Mini at $499, I think it was back in 2004, that 20 years later, we're still only $100 up from that initial price. Like that Apple has kept this as the, like, if you want to get your foot in the door in the Apple ecosystem, $600. This is it.
Everybody always says Macs are so expensive. Like, this is not that bad.
You're not going to get a $600 Windows computer that's going to match this thing in raw performance.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
I mean, maybe
gaming performance.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe a gaming like PC, but you're going to be skimping on like a processor, and you're going to get like single channel RAM. Like I was a retailer for PCs for years, and I know how HP and Dell and the rest of them do things. They're going to like give you like laptop RAM. They're going to give you a single channel. It's going to like choke out your CPU. Like they'll give you a power supply that's like 80 bronze rated, and it's like a 350 watt power supply, and they'll be like, oh, well, it technically matches the reference card requirements, So I know how it goes. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's pretty good. I am though, and I'm just looking at the configurator here. I do want to say I think it's a great deal that the $599 price gets you a 10-core, 10 GPU M4. That it's not bend like the entry-level iMac is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's great. For $200 though, you're just getting double storage, which I don't think is a great deal. And I don't think for another $200 on top of that, it only gives you 24 gigs of RAM. Like I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of torn about that. If I were going to get one, I'm not going to look at anything less than an M4 Pro. So that's where my starting line is, and unfortunately, that starting line is $1,400. It does give me the 24 gigs of memory at least, and 512 storage. So there's that. I just hate that it's.
You're a student, right? You're a student of gaming.
Yeah. Apple Gaming SE at gaming.edu. Yeah, I don't know. I do have actually, the company I work for might actually have an option for a discount through them. I better check that out.
Definitely look into that. Are we doing buy it or leave it on the shelf? Because I'm ready to play.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm ready to play. Let's go. Are you buying it? Or are you leaving it on the shelf? Go ahead, MPT.
I'm buying it.
You're buying it? Which one? What are you buying?
I'm getting the. Hold on. Pre-order. Like you said, got to be an M4 Pro, because a Pro chip in that little size is just so cool. It's going to be such a beast. So let's go 48 gigabytes memory. Honestly, the binned M4 Pro is probably just amazing. So I don't even need the, what is it? I'll do 12 core CPU, 16 core GPU, and terabyte storage. And let's see here. That takes me to about $1,800.
Okay, hold on.
So
I'm doing the configurator on mine. Oh, are you doing education pricing?
I'm a student of all things Mac.
So okay, yeah. All right, that's what it is. Okay, I was going to say, I'm looking at mine. I'm like, so your entry price is $2,000? So, all right, I got you. The MPT discount is $1,800, but for the rest of us plebs, it's $2,000. Is what he's talking
No,
about.
I'm kidding. But yeah, if that is what you end up getting, I assume it's just going to be incredible.
I'll go ahead and go, because I do want to talk about this, and I feel like MPT, you probably have a little bit of insight on this. I am really torn about losing 4 GPU cores. Like, I really want that 20 core GPU. So my entry price is $1,800. Even if I stick with it's if I do 512. So it's $1,600. So just doing 512 storage, because I've got SSDs that are PCI Express 4 on the Thunderbolt 4 connection, dude, and I can rock and roll that all day. So I'm not worried about internal storage. I'm perfectly fine using external storage. The RAM is the only thing I'm kind of like flaky about, because I was asking in the Discord earlier about Apple Intelligence and how much RAM it uses. Because Apple's real cagey on this. They only tell you on the Get Started with Apple Intelligence on Mac page that it's requires so it's available on Mac's OS 15.1 in Mac models with an M1 or later, and devices need to have 4 gigabytes of available storage. And that storage requirement, it says at the asterisk at the bottom, storage requirements for on-device Apple Intelligence features will increase as more features become available. So that's just to get started, is 4 gigs of storage. And I'm thinking, just from sussing out what people are saying on the Mac Rumors forums and what Ming-Chi Kuo is speculating from June of this year, he's mostly talking about the iPhone 15. But the speculation is that it needs 4 gigs of RAM to just handle like the large language models and probably the voice recognition stuff. And then there's another 4 gigs of compressed AI models that it will decompress on the fly as it needs to. So I'm thinking like 3-4 years time is, if Apple Intelligence is on, is it going to be using 8 gigs of RAM? Because
right, like is it a consistent background process running, or does it like wait until you use it?
That's what I'm unsure of, and I think that because they've not really discussed it, is one part of it. The other part of it is it's kind of it's obviously implied by Apple, not stated outright, that you're probably going to need something closer to 8 gigabytes of RAM if you're going to make Apple Intelligence viable for the long term, which means that's why everything's starting at 16 gigs and the 8 gigabyte Macs are now a thing of the past. So that's what I'm wondering, is how big is Apple Intelligence going to get? Because Apple is that company, and I don't know if anybody has ever looked into this, like how insane the things that Apple has gone through to make sure that their private cloud compute, that those servers are sourced from a trustworthy companies, that they come in, they're checked, they're rechecked, they make sure that they don't have any kind of, back doors. Apple is like spending billions of dollars making sure that their private cloud compute architecture is actually private. There was somebody earlier this year, there was a reporter that Apple let write up a story on it and go through the technical side of things. Not like a New York Times reporter, but somebody who's actually like a tech head and who went into wasn't able to find the article again, but it was an insane amount of detail. And it's just like, holy crap, Apple's like going all out for this thing. And the best way to keep something secure is to keep it on your devices that you own, right? So my concern is, again, like 3-4 years down the road, is Apple Intelligence hogging 8 gigs of RAM? Because Mac OS itself is already, 4 to 6? Like, you boot it up cold and it's already chunking, pulling away all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 8 gigabytes, and what did you say, 4 to 5 years?
Yeah. 8 gigabytes is not going to be enough.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That it'll use that much.
So that's where I'm just like, do I stick with 24 gigs or do I go for the 48?
I mean, I'm always going to say go for the 48. It's like, what? You're going to have this computer for at least a decade, right?
Right. It's a $400 upgrade, though.
I think the 24 is good, in my opinion.
Wow.
I don't think it's worth the 400.
That's my issue. I don't think it's worth $400. Like, if they were charging 200, I might get on it. I might. But
what if they were charging 360?
On the education.
All right, Mr.
On the Mac Pro
Apple
tips discount. No, I think 360 is still a little too steep. Just a little too steep. Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard to make a guess. I want to lean towards that 20-core GPU because I'm just thinking about, as games come out, they'll be able to address more GPU cores. And so I kind of want to go that route. But
I think that's worth the upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I compare my M3 Max, I have the binned M3 Max. Whenever I compare it to Andy's unbinned M3 Max, he always gets like a noticeable amount of a performance boost compared to me.
How many extra
cores
I'd say
you're probably
that, though? You're talking about Andy Tizer?
Andy Tizer, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. M3 Max is... I don't even know if I can see it anymore.
You have the 30-core GPU, right?
Yeah, and what, he has 36?
Or 32. Is it 32 or is it 30? I think it's...
30 sounds right.
Man.
Wow, so they're just like straight up not even selling the M3 Max or Pro anymore.
No, yeah. So I'm looking, this is why I keep Mac Tracker around. It's such a wonderful app. So
it should be on Refurb store, right?
If there's any available to buy. That's the trick.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's see. On an M3, you know what? I forgot. I have the stupid wiki up for M3 right here. Big brain.
But Andrew typically gets like 8 to 10 more frames per second than I do running the same game.
Yeah, but so on the M3 Max, there's 10 cores difference, though. So he's literally got a third of more like graphics processing cores than you do.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe 4 cores is not that much to complain about.
The thing is, you'll know pretty quickly after you get it if it's going to be able to run the games you want. And if it seems like it's overkill, you can always return it, right? Like, I know it's a hassle and like,
Well, Apple's pretty good about
it's
this
just,
stuff.
yeah, but like, it's never fun sending a Mac back. But like, I feel like
Yeah,
you'll
sure.
know pretty quickly if you got the right one or not.
Hey,
So in that case, go 64 gigabytes
64 gigs.
memory.
$2,000 right there. Bam.
It's going to run Fantasia
Yeah.
so good.
Oh, it's gonna be great. 720p lowest settings. I'll be getting hundreds of frames per second. Yeah. Well, all right. So for back to buy it or leave it on the shelf. If I'm gonna get one, I think I'm probably gonna go for this $1,400 Mac Mini, the M4 Pro Mac Mini, the entry level one, because I don't think, I'm looking at the numbers from what you're saying, I don't know that the extra 4 cores is really gonna be worth it on the GPU side of things, and the performance cores on these are already blowing away the M3 Maxes in a number of areas. So
I hope we get some gaming benchmarks soon.
me too. I think that it wouldn't surprise me if there were like some hiccups with the architecture being new. You know, the slight
Right.
changes from generation to generation, but I don't think there's going to be anything major.
I want to see people run Tomb Raider on it. That's the classic.
All right, Jfishin, you buying or you leaving it on the shelf?
For me, I don't have too much experience with the Mac Mini. I've never owned one. I've never really been around them before. But they are good value. If I needed a cheap Mac, a desktop Mac, I would definitely buy one. But I one day would like to be in the market for a desktop Mac, and I think I would save that for the Mac Studio. So for me, I think I am skimping out on the Mac Mini,
Leave it
although I
on
do
the
love
shelf.
the new redesign.
Wow. Trader.
Yep.
Sorry,
Shelfing
Apple,
it.
you're not getting Jfishin's money. All right. Any other final thoughts, questions, concerns, comments about the Mac Mini?
Yeah, I've got a final thought.
Go for it.
Could you ask Jfishin, who is a student, to buy the Mac in his name for you?
Hey, Jfishin, so I've got an Apple credit card that has $0 on it right now.
I'm just saying, we can find some loopholes.
We'll
Yeah,
find a way.
just hand over your social security
Yeah.
number, and I'll
Name,
get that right away for you.
number, serial
Or like
number.
take a night class. Take a night class.
All I need is one EDU address, right? Like I'm sure that there's somebody online that'll give me an EDU address.
And I mean, I'm going to be real. You don't even need an EDU address. You can just buy it, and
Really?
they don't ask any questions.
What?
But I mean, yeah.
Wow, when
Yeah,
I worked at
supposedly-
Apple, they were actually like strict about that. Like you had to have an EDU address because I was going to a university that didn't have an EDU address, and I couldn't buy things on the discount.
I believe they loosened the guidelines.
Wow. Apple.
Just keep that in mind. Keep that in
Apple's
mind.
killing it on the margins now. If they can give everybody a discount, you know they're making money.
Yeah.
Well, it came out today that they had like their highest grossing quarter ever at $95 billion in revenue. So,
It's a lot. I contributed to that.
yeah, I was about to say, I'm shaking in my boots for all those Galaxy phones that are getting sold. All right, then. Gentlemen, we shall carry forth to the Mac Pro final day, and we get introduced to another CPU, or SoC, really. So, MacBook Pro, starting at $1,600, 14 inches. God, it's going to have an incredible display. That ProMotion display is just going to be killer. I haven't seen one yet.
It is. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. As somebody who has, I just bought a 27-inch 180 hertz 1440p display, and it's like,
Nice.
this thing is awesome. So I bet a Pro Motion display is, even though it's only 120 hertz, I bet you the XDR on that is probably gonna be like stellar.
What brand display did you get?
It's a Samsung.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was on one of their. It was a sale they were having. I think it was the Discover Samsung event. Anyway, it was some insane deal. And oh no, it was during Amazon Prime Day. Like they had this monitor on Amazon, so I was looking at it and I was like, well, I want to look at it on Samsung's website because I wanted to see the specs, and it was cheaper direct from Samsung than to get it from Amazon. And I was like, I would be stupid if I did not buy this monitor right now. So it's like a $500 monitor that I got for like $220 shipped.
Nice.
So I was like, I was kind of already fiending for a new monitor anyway, because my 1080p monitor, as lovely as it is, it was like scrolling, like vertical scrolling with text was atrocious. Like the ghosting on the text was, oh my god, horrible, because they use a super cheap panel. But this one is an IPS panel. HDR10, 180 hertz. It's not like super high end, but it's so much better than what I had.
Nice.
Anyway, we're not talking about Samsung. We're talking about Apple and the Mac Pro, or MacBook Pro, not the Mac Pro. So all right, let's go with good things about this. When you see the Mac Pro announcement, one, I think it's funny the intro they did with the bong and then the wind tunnel effect with Tim Apple Jr. And so that was pretty good. I liked that one.
That wasn't even a joke. That actually happens when you open it.
Oh yeah, no. That's what they're there for. That's why they have six. They have a 6-peaker array now, so that you can actually get the wind tunnel effect at your desk.
It's a feature.
100%. What are we liking about it so far, right out the gate? Promotion, obviously, we talked about.
Well, the base model got that extra USB-C port on the right side, so that is right off the bat pretty sweet. I mean, the big elephant in the room is I guess with every model is 16 gigabytes of RAM as the base option. So just kind of like all around, we've got some nice upgrades with this year M4 chips.
I can completely understand people getting upset about an 8 gigabyte product that has Pro in the name. I think it was definitely utterly criminal.
You could get
Apple to do that.
You could get a base M3 chip with 8 gigabytes of RAM in the old MacBook Pro, which is just silly.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I still think it's silly that you can get the base M4 in it, but it's better that you can do 16 gigabytes RAM now. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. What was the intro price? Here it is. Okay, so for the 14-inch before, it was also $15.99. So they haven't increased the price. It's the same price. So for the same price, you're getting... You're getting 10-core CPU. Is that really what the old one was, though? Wasn't it? What was the old one? Could you get a base M3 in the old one, right?
Yes. And I don't remember if they had the bend CPU or not, or if that's just the MacBook Air and
so that was
iMac.
A 4-and-4 configuration on the base M3.
If it was the A core, yeah.
Wow. I guess I didn't realize that. I
think they just throw on 2 more efficiency cores for the 10 core.
I'm looking.
Can't remember.
I'm checking the wiki right now because I'm curious about that. That just seems weird. Like that doesn't seem right. Apple has made some strange decisions, and it is confusing me. What is? Yeah,
it's got to be like
it's got a 10-core GPU. I know that.
Yeah. Mhm. It's got to be like a six efficiency cores, 4 performance cores, because the M1 Pro that I have is 10 performance cores and 2 efficiency cores, 10 core.
Yeah, just looking at the M3. Okay, yeah, so just the M3 is 8 cores. Okay, I was completely reading this wrong in Mac Tracker. So it's 4 high performance, 4 high efficiency on the base M3 MacBook Pro. So this one is getting the base configuration here at 10 core CPU is going to be 6 and 4, right? You're going to have 6 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores.
It might be the other way around. I don't know. I don't know for sure. And Apple's website doesn't make it easy to find that information.
I was going to say, I want to say no. There was somebody who had shared a screenshot of the different, the completely different, all of the current SoCs. Here we go, for Apple that are currently in production or that have come out for this year. So that includes like the Apple Watch SoCs as well. So M4 is, oh, you're right. It is 4 performance and 6 efficiency. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Definitely leaving the 10 core Mac Mini on the shelf. I wouldn't even look at the Mac Mini, the base M4 Mac Mini, knowing that. I thought it was 6 and 4, not 4 and 6. Wow. All right. That's disappointing.
Well, I mean, the base chips from the M1, the M2, and I think the M3 were all 8 cores. So you were at 4 and 4, right? So
Right.
you're just getting 2 more efficiency cores with this time around.
Which is better
So
than
you are
nothing.
gaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
so
getting
you are
something
gaining
out of it.
something.
Don't misunderstand.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
again, these products with the name Pro in them. But again, this is the base M4. So the base M4 is not, in my opinion, is not a actual Pro level chip. It is significantly better than what you're going to find in like mobile PCs. I don't care what anybody says about the Snapdragon X Elite or whatever ridiculous name it has. They're just, these things are too good. They're too good. And so I can see why Apple would put the base M4 in a MacBook Pro. But I don't think it's a Pro chip. Not when the efficiency cores weigh out the performance cores.
Yeah.
Well, with this MacBook Pro, you are getting 512 SSD.
That's true.
And it seems like on the Mini and the iMac, you had 256 as the base.
That's
so
true. Oh, here's
And like
Pro.
the M4
Go ahead.
is perfectly capable of doing pro-like tasks. Like you can definitely edit a couple timelines of 4K video with it. Like you can get the job done.
Yeah.
But I agree, it probably shouldn't be in there. I have a 14-inch M3 Max, and before that I had a 14-inch M1 Max, and the M1 Max, well, just overall, it's like the best computer I've ever owned. Incredible display. The webcam is half decent. I think in this new one, the MacBook Pro now has what's it called? Center stage, which is cool. The speakers are legitimately incredible. Like they blow me away every day. Really good bass. Having all the ports, you have the SD card slot. What else? I don't know. Overall, it's like the best laptop ever. So the fact that they kind of kept it the same, but just kind of made it more powerful, is awesome. Like I'm not going to get it because the M3 Max, I didn't even need to upgrade the M1 Max. Honestly, I'm just kind of like an Apple freak, but I truly can't justify getting rid of this M3 Max because it's so good already. So I just assume that with an M4 Pro or M4 Max chip in it, it's just a work of art. It's just so good.
All right.
For sure.
Is it the?
I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I want you to finish your thought because I'm going to ask a question.
Okay. Well, if we're just talking like base model M4, I think at $1,500, it's a Well, let's see. My first Mac was that 2015 13-inch base model. I can't remember if that was $1,300, $1,200, $1,500. Crap. It's still in the same ballpark, but this base model with 15 or 512 SSD and 16 gigs as the starting base option, I think is awesome. And yeah, just quite the value this generation, this M4 generation. So yeah, that's what I think.
So what did you say your first one was? You were saying
It was a 2015 base model MacBook Pro.
okay. 15 inch or
13.
13?
Did that have a removable battery?
Yeah, that's the
No.
question.
No, that was the first generation that went like a slimmer design or something.
Oh yeah, no CD drive.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've got to pull it up here. Yeah, $1,300, 2-core Intel processor, 128 gigs of storage.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
comparing that to what you can get today,
Yeah,
is quite
for
quite the
$200
feat,
more
you know?
is quite the feat. Quite the feat. Yeah, I say that I'm throwing all these criticism and all this shade out here. The MacBook Pro using an M4 processor, says the guy who is using a 2019 Intel MacBook Pro that has 6 cores of a Core i9 9th generation processor that is right now with the fans completely maxed out, running it wide open at 100%, running at 72 degrees on the CPU node. So I probably
It could
don't have
explode.
much to complain about.
You're so due for an update. It's not even funny.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we gotta keep the archival history of the Intel Macs. We gotta keep that alive. So I know I'm due for an upgrade. I know I am. I honest to God, I'm so impressed with how well this thing still runs. Like 5 years after it's produced, after Apple Silicon is out, and that's the focus. I'm still.
That's why I worry about Apple though. Like their computers last so long compared to like a PC.
But we talked about the
just don't
margins on these things. Like that's why, like Apple regularly on everything is like a 30 to 40% margin company. Like that's why they can afford to support these things for 5, 6, 9 years.
Yeah. And when you're due for an upgrade, you're coming back to Apple for another one. You're not displeased
yeah.
that you kept your computer for 10 years.
Yeah, if you hate, that's just the thing. Like if you hate your Mac, you're gonna know within like 6 weeks at the most. Like I tried to get my mom switched over to a Mac years ago, and she just could not do it. She's like, I need my start menu. I need the printers and services. Like this was it, devices and printers menu. I need the control panel. And I was like, okay, I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
Lost cause.
Yeah. So I was like, fine, you could have yours. So I built her like a $200 computer from like used parts, and that thing is still running. Like 7 years later, she uses it so little. So like, there's some people that Macs are just not. They're just a lost cause. Like if I got my mom, if I could get her to use a Mac, she would probably use that thing for the next 30 years. She'd probably be dead and that thing still be running. Oh man. Okay. All right. So all right, the $1,600. Really, I could see where the value is. The value proposition is. I'm just comparing it to other M4 devices in this stack, right? I mean, this is, you think about it, going back to the iMac, entry-level iMac's $1,300, and you get an M4, right? You only get two.
Right, like what?
You only get 2 Thunderbolt ports, but for $300 less. So it's like,
Would love to see some like performance comparisons between base M4 MacBook Pro and base M4 iMac.
I wonder how many people are doing that. Like who out there has a base iMac of any generation, Apple Silicon, right? And what would the performance numbers of their games be?
If anyone was to test it, it would be Mr. Mac, right? I feel like.
Yeah, you're probably
Definitely.
right. Because that's his business, right? So if he's in Australia, not the U.S. But if he's in the U.S., those would be tax write-offs. You know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy $15,000 in computers for a business tax write-off.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But it might be too early for this. But if you were to get you said you're kind of interested in the MacBook Pros. Would you stick with an M4 Pro chip if you did that?
Me or Jfishin?
You SE. Like you said, you consider getting a MacBook Pro. You're tempted.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I'm tempted. I would have to go with the M4 Pro. I want those extra performance cores and I want those extra GPU cores because, you know,
Especially because you game and video edit, I feel like you kind of need it.
right. So I want the extra oomph to get me through several years. Like again, I'm the guy who's running a 4 gigabyte Radeon 5300M right here. So like,
Yeah, with your Intel config that you have, I think the Pro chip is definitely the best sweet spot
yeah.
upgrade.
In 5 years, we can come back to this, and y'all can tell me I'm due for the M9 Pro upgrade. And you'd be like, SE, you got an M4 Pro. You've had that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would definitely be tempted, and am tempted by this because, well, I don't have the money like right now. Think about this: if I've got like $1,200 that I could just blow on a Mac right now. If I buy this $2,000 config, it's basically $167 a month for 12 months. If I pay off more than half of this, I'm going to be paying for 12 months. I'm basically looking at something like, I don't even know what's 40% of 167. Whatever that is what I'd be paying a month. So like not even $70 a month, maybe $70 a month for 12 months to pay off this thing. It's like, I could probably do that, right?
Yeah, skip a few meals a day.
Yeah, no, that'd be fine.
The ramen diet.
A ramen diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're incredible. You also get like the fast charging if you get the nicer charger, which is legitimately very useful.
Oh yeah, I got a 100-watt charger that this MacBook Pro charges off of. I think it's got a 96-watt, like actually what it takes, but I got a 100-watt charger. The thing is stupid fast. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the fast charging through MagSafe, so you got to do it with the MagSafe port.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you never lost MagSafe. You've always had it, right?
Right.
No, he's got the
No, I
just
don't
the
have.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the 4 Thunderbolt port.
I haven't had MagSafe on one of my Macs since I think my very first MacBook was the only Mac I had that actually had MagSafe on it. That 2008.
It's pretty
MacBook.
great.
Yeah. Mrs. Gaming has MagSafe on her MacBook Air. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got the M2 MacBook Air, right?
Yeah, she has that. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm interested here looking at the configurator. There's a 96-watt USB-C adapter, but there's no like MagSafe adapter listed as an option here.
Well, you get the MagSafe cable, and then you get your desired.
Oh, I see. Okay,
brick.
So you're just picking the brick. I got you. Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Right, the 96-watt USB-C power adapter.
Yeah. Okay.
Fast charging, 0 to 50% in around 30 minutes.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Favorite part of that keynote was them casually just being like, "Oh, and by the way, we're bringing Cyberpunk 2077
So,
back,"
I
and then
got-
just like moving on.
I would say I have a whole like slide. I did a screen cap on all the games
I
they
knew-
had
I knew.
listed, and I was like,
Yeah.
to throw that up when we got to the point of talking about the games because like I know we're going to talk about the games, and the fact that they didn't have a slide for Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition is criminal.
Yeah. Yep.
criminal. Speaking of something else that's criminal, I was messing around here with the configurator. It got me thinking about the iMac, right? You got to upgrade the iMac to get 32 gigs of RAM. You got to upgrade the storage on it. Not on the Mac Mini. You can go to the base Mac Mini, $599, and you can get 32 gigs of RAM and still have 256 storage.
Wow.
That racket is.
I'm not sure who's getting that. I don't know
That
who would
racket
buy
is
that.
powerful. Yeah, I know. I don't know who's going to buy it, but it's like Apple.
I really want to know the reasoning behind that decision.
That is pure product segmentation. 100% is exactly what that is.
I saw someone in the Apple Gaming Wiki Discord, and they were like, "Oh, I just got this MacBook Pro with 128 gigabytes of RAM." And everybody was just like, "What are you doing with this machine?" Crazy.
I doubt the games you're running could even address 128 gigs. Like there's no texture models that are high density enough to address that much RAM.
No, the only I guess positive of having that much RAM and gaming is if you're using like a beta GPTK version and you get a new game and you got a big old RAM leak. You just could play the game for a little bit longer than other people.
Yeah, so if you're doing development work and you were debugging it and you were trying to run like multiple instances, then I could see needing that much RAM.
Yeah. Like Jedi Survivor, when that came out, everyone's testing it out on GPTK and it's got a RAM leak. And so it's pushing like NPT's M3 Max.
It's like more RAM gives me longer playtime between crashes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when I looked up at the HUD and saw that it was using 40 gigabytes of RAM, I knew I had a problem.
It's like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah. You just play 10 more minutes and then you're cooked.
I can beat this boss. I can beat him. I can beat the second sister. I mean it. Now the pressure's on. You got to beat second sister before your RAM leak crashes your Mac.
It's got to be a nasty kernel panic. 128 gig RAM.
That dump is going to be brutal. Like, do you want to send it to Apple? Like, yeah, I do. I want to send 200 gigabytes of memory leak data to Apple. Glad I got that fiber connection.
Did the old MacBook Pros, like the M3 ones, come with 128, or is that a new thing?
I think no, they were 256. The M3s were 256.
You're saying for RAM or
for RAM.
For maximal for maximum address.
Max RAM I think started M1 Max I think was 64 gigabytes was the max, and then one of those generations it went up to 128 if I'm recalling that correctly.
It's a lot of memory.
It probably was M3 generation where it goes up to 128.
I wish the wiki told you. Wikipedia doesn't tell you what the max RAM is in their nice little pretty chart.
The Ultra Trip definitely went up to that right off the rip, but for the Mac, like MacBook Pro.
Yeah, it just tells you RAM speeds, the memory speeds on the on it. It doesn't tell you max, like, oh, here we go. 128 gigs, yeah. 8 to 128 gigs on the M3 family.
I mean, what do I have? 36. I haven't even come close to like using all that, unless I'm playing Jedi Survivor, of course.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of like, part of me wants to go 32 gigs of RAM, but it's like, what's it really gonna get me? Especially if I can turn Apple Intelligence off, like, what's it gonna do for me?
I think normal usage gaming, I think 24 gigs is a great sweet spot.
Yeah. Longest battery life in a MacBook Pro, they say. I'm guessing that's the 16-inch only.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty wild. 16-inch. Let's go over to the 16 inches. We've been looking at 14s this whole time. I know. I might just go for that $2,500 16-inch right there. Just be satisfied.
That's a tank.
Get the junker. No, if I were gonna get one, I would definitely do 14 because this 16-inch. I love my 16-inch 2019 model. This thing is a beast to carry around some days. Like I traveled with it one
Yep.
time and took it on a plane one time with me, and it was like there is no space on the little like fold out trays for this thing.
Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to get off of the plane.
Right? You're taking up too much computer real estate with that thing. So
One of my greatest pleasures is getting on a plane, whipping out my 14-inch MacBook Pro and playing games on it.
Yeah.
It's like there's something really, really cool about being able to like do that on the fly on a Mac.
it's just that e-peen. That's what it is. It's like, yeah, look, peasants.
Yeah, I'm like trying to show the lady next to me that I'm running Hellblade.
Yeah, right.
She doesn't care.
It's like I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I think the 14-inch is part of what makes the computer so magical. It's like very portable. I can just throw it in a little case, and I pretty much take it with me wherever I go. Or even just like getting in bed, I can like edit a video. No battery power. I'm sorry, no
No power.
like not plugged in.
You'll fall
just,
asleep editing. You wake up in the morning exactly where you left off.
No, I wake up and it's been edited completely. It's crazy.
It edited the video itself. The power of Apple intelligence, right there.
I sleep edit. But yeah, I mean, I always recommend the 14-inch to people. 16 is just so big and heavy. It's like fine if you're going to keep it on the desk for the most part, but I think 14 is the way to go.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So
I
I think I was about to say I think I did. So MPT and I we really like wound around the mountain on that one for buying or leaving. So what about Jfishin? Did you say if you're buying or leaving a MacBook Pro?
MacBook Pro, I am for sure buying,
Oh yeah, which one?
without a doubt. I think I'm going to stride for the 14-inch Bend M3 or the M4 Max.
Bend
The base model
Max.
14-inch M4
The
Max.
1432.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, you hear that? Everybody become friends with Jfishin. He's buy you Christmas gifts. He's got the money.
It's the opposite for me. I don't know if I can be friends with Jfishin if he has a nicer computer than I.
It's going to be weird.
This is why all my
supporting,
friends have
M4
nicer
Max.
computers than me. That's why.
Yeah, just to like piggyback on that, what you do 1 terabyte SSD.
Yep, I'm
Yeah, you don't have
gonna
a choice. That's what it
do.
starts.
Yep, that's what it starts at. Just the
Whoa.
base 14-inch M4 Max config. Hopefully they have one in store because I don't want to order online because I'm gonna do a trade-in with my M1 Pro that I got.
Mm.
And
It's gonna be so good.
How much will you theoretically get on a trade-in?
the trade-in says 800.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Dang.
And it was a $2,500 machine, brand new.
Ooh. You'd be better off
But,
selling that thing on eBay, dude.
Definitely,
Maybe.
I without a doubt would want to private sell it, but since I want that cash to trade it in to kind of just do it as an easy
Right.
walk in, grab
walk in,
my
get it
new
done.
computer. Yeah, I'm willing just to take the 800 and check out the rest. I'm gonna do education discount and get the best deal I can.
Yeah, I was going to say let me know if they if they do ask you for any kind of like student ID info.
Yeah,
In
Definitely.
person, I think they will.
yeah.
Okay.
Online.
I'm just gonna say, hey, put me down for that education discount, please. Thanks.
Thanks for playing.
But yeah, definitely buying this one. Gonna go for the space black. Got the space gray now. Just looking for a dark color.
Does any part of you want the silver?
Yes, because I have the space gray now, and I always alternate colors when I upgrade Macs. So since I'm
Oh,
on Space Gray
interesting.
now, I want to go silver, but now that they have
Oh,
Space Black, I think I'm gonna have to do that.
I just assume Space Black is a faster computer.
Yeah, and it hides the black lab dog hair a lot better, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, true.
Is it like the orcs from Warhammer 40,000, where it's like, oh yeah, yellow's the fastest color. In this case, black's the fastest color.
It's exactly like that. It's gonna be crazy though. Like, assuming we all, well, not me, but you guys get these computers, it's just gonna be gaming. Is just gonna be so good.
Yeah,
I'll finally
I
be able to
feel
use
bad.
crossover properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna experience D3D metal and DXMT. But yeah, I feel bad. MPT. I'm not gonna have like a regular person
Right.
Mac footage to give you.
I'm gonna have to like buy an old one, I think.
Maybe you should
Yeah, you're
just
gonna have to pick
sell
up
yours
an
to
M1.
MPT.
No,
I
he's
told
gonna give
him
me such a bad price.
$7.99.
He's gonna
I told him $7.99.
I'll give you a $1
It's yours.
discount.
Jfishin's always trying to trick me.
You can
Yeah,
though.
no, I think
I'm pretty sure Walmart still has the M1 MacBook Airs for $649. I mean, so if you need a poverty tier laptop, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I could write it off as like a business expense.
Oh,
or
for
something.
sure. Yeah, 100%.
It's just like I wouldn't really use it for anything other than testing games, but I guess it would be worth
It's a
it.
business purpose, you know. I mean, look at Digital
Yeah.
Foundry or Gamers Nexus. I mean, that's all they do is test games.
I feel like the viewers are gonna get mad when there's no more M1 Pro footage on the channel.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
It's got to be still a remarkably popular like configuration, so I could see why. I can see
Yeah,
why people would be
definitely.
upset about that.
I mean, even M2. M2
There's just so many
like, Air
viable
is super
options. Now.
popular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all these Macs are just really solid.
I mean, at least with people getting, it seems like people are gonna really want M4 this time around. M3 seemed like if you were definitely on Intel, definitely upgrade. If you were on, if you were on Intel, M1 without a doubt was an upgrade, a big upgrade.
Oh, for sure.
But if you were on M1, M2 wasn't a super big upgrade. If you were on M2, M3 wasn't a super big upgrade, but M4 is a pretty big leap. So I think a lot of people are going to upgrade this time around. And with this 16 gig base configuration, a lot of people asking if this game runs, if whatever runs, it's going to be without a doubt probably yes if you're on M4, just because you don't have to worry about 8 gigs of RAM or anything like that, just bottlenecking your game or anything like that.
Is the question going to be, is the base M4 better than the M1 Pro?
I think
That's a question.
I think it's basically on par.
Without a doubt, it's going to be better. Because who is it? I don't know
the CPU. The CPU is for sure better. The GPU I think is still, more,
because there's more cores in the M1 Pro.
Yeah, it's got
okay,
the 16 core versus the 10 core.
Yeah,
but it is 4 generations newer.
Right.
The memory speed is close. I don't remember the M4 memory speed. Was that 110? You said 120.
120 on the base M4.
And the M1 Pro I think was like 170.
Let's see.
Or something around there.
Where's the tech specs? Because I had that pulled up. Here we go. It's I want to say 273. Yeah. M4 is 270. M4 Pro is 273. M4 Max is 410 gigabytes per second. Now this is gigabytes, not gigabits, which is big difference. And then if you go up to the 16-inch, and you get that Gucci level M4 Max chip, it's 456 gigabytes per second on memory bandwidth.
Okay.
So that's just sheer memory throughput. If they upgraded nothing else but the memory bandwidth, you would see huge performance increases.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up. I know since they're not out yet, we don't really have much to go off of besides like Geekbench.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. There's a guy named, I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong, so I apologize. Torhan06 on X Twitter, and he's got the single core scores of M1 Max, M2, 3, and 4 Maxes, and then the multi-core scores. And the M1 Max single core is 2374. The M4 Max is 4060. So it was a 15% improvement from M1 to M2, 13 from M2 to M3, and then 30% improvement from M3 to M4.
Okay.
Like that's a wild like architecture redesign.
Yeah. I think it's so that's the biggest jump we've had in a new processor since M1, right?
Since that's just on the single core. Now on the multi-core, the M1 Max is 12,229. The M4 Max is 26,675. So the multi-core from M1 to M2 is a 20% increase. M2 to M3 is 42% increase. And then from M3 to M4 is 27%. So I think that's just because the M3 Max just had a lot more cores than the M2 Max. I mean, didn't it? It had a pretty. That's a pretty chunky. M3 Max is, it's 16 cores. So 12 performance, 4 efficiency. Memory bandwidth was 409 gigabytes per second on that one. So that's a pretty meaningful improvement because it's still 16 cores from M4 to M3. So you're looking at additional execution units on the Bend M3 on Max, M4 Max. It's still 640 execution units, but it's on the Bend models, it's 512 versus 480 on the M3. And the Bend M4 Max has the same basically the same memory bandwidth as the top end M3 Max, which is that's pretty wild. Yeah,
the benchmarks are going to be really interesting.
They are. It's going to be a fun Max.
That memory bandwidth is quite insane. The top end M4 Max, half a terabyte basically of memory bandwidth.
I'm just convinced this is such an Apple fanboy thing to say, but like people that just like say they hate Macs and that Macs suck, like clearly have never used the Mac. They're just so good.
I think what it is that people get accustomed to what they have, right? And there is, in fairness to them, until very recent history, games have been made exclusively for consoles and Windows, right? Even the Steam Deck is not really seeing like a huge renaissance in Linux engineered games. They just are doing incredible work with Proton. So with all of these games effectively being Windows first, to have Apple come along and say, we're going to give you a set of tools that'll help you move from Windows to Mac more easily, and in this, what is effectively a developer tool having such incredible performance is pretty nuts. I mean, that's going to change. When I was talking to PBY, I said, I don't know if Apple is really trying to put the Mac as a premier gaming platform, but they are going to make it a platform that does gaming exceptionally well, just like it does everything else exceptionally well. You might not buy a Mac to play games on it unless you're like the three of us, but otherwise, if you do play games on it, it's going to do it really well. And if you use something like Crossover or Whiskey or whatever it is you want to use, it's going to be wonderful. This is really the goal, is what Apple's going for.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of like testing the waters with Cyberpunk. Like, I'm really excited, not just to like play the game, but to see how it runs on each Mac. Like, it's going to be like the new benchmark for testing a Mac's gaming capabilities.
Yeah, well, it's still used in a lot of Windows benchmarks because I mean, what else pushed the envelope in terms of graphically since Cyberpunk?
Right, yeah.
Like, what else has there been that's really said, okay, we're gonna knuckle down on the visual experience? Like, you can argue Star Citizen, but that's still in beta. Like, Star Citizen looks stupid good, but like that thing's been in alpha version 3 for the better part of a decade. So
Right.
I don't think we can use Star Citizen, although it does look really, really good. I'm going to be MIA playing Squadron 42 when that comes out. I'm just going to like take a week off.
I would like to see like ray tracing performance on the new M4 because M3 is pretty. I guess the word is pathetic. It's like really
Yeah, it's their first
not
effort,
viable.
right?
Yep, it's their first gen.
But, like they advertised it in the keynote, and like you flip on ray tracing in Firmament, for example. They just added it, and I think it crashes the Mac if it's like on a base chip, and on like the M3 Max, it cuts the FPS in half and makes it unplayable. So it's like they're doubling down on advertising it with the M4. I think they mentioned it's going to be available in Cyberpunk and more efficient ray tracing or whatever. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
also.
for sure. I think it was. What was it? Was it the iPhone 16 keynote where they talked about that? Where they were like, "Hey, it's going to be whatever twice or 50% ray tracing improvement."
Yes, they're marketing 2 times. Ray tracing acceleration is what I think is what they say.
Yeah, so and then it's going to be, what are they it's going to have to be native metal though. Like I don't think that it's if it's not a native metal, I mean, obviously if it's native it's going to be metal, but I'm talking about for like anything crossover related, it's not going to be anywhere near 50% improvement.
Well, the funny thing is the crossover game, say like Ratchet and Clank, runs amazing with RT enabled, but then you get a Mac native game like Firmament, and it gets fine. Well, the first Mac native game with ray tracing gets updated, and it just runs horrible with ray tracing. It's kind of disappointing. Let's see.
Yeah,
it's very disappointing. I think. Yeah, it's nice to see that they mentioned frame generation coming to a Mac game. Like, I'm not sure if they'll call it something different, because I thought that was like.
I think it's
PC
definitely gonna be AMD's FSR frame generation.
Oh,
I don't
for
think.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be an in-house type of solution.
No, I don't think so either because AMD open sourced the frame generation stuff. So the idea behind it was, so AMD has that partnership with Sony on the PlayStation 5. So they architected their chip for the PlayStation 5, and they're working with Sony on ray tracing and frame generation. So that technology is going to go both ways. It's going to go into the PlayStation 5, but it's also going to come out. Because they open source the license, that means Apple can use it. And even though Apple and AMD do not have a production relationship, I have no doubt that Apple still has contacts within AMD if they need an engineer or two to help them sort out some things.
Sure.
And then on the iPhone,
they did.
I was going to say just one more thing on when the iPhone 15 Pro came out, I did a video talking about the ray tracing segment that they did with the iPhone 15 Pro before the phone was released. And I remember looking at it and looking at the ghosting on some of the images and going, that looks like FSR2, right? So
yeah,
that I think you're right. I think it's going to be AMD's or a variant of AMD's technology. But so anyway, go ahead. Sorry, you were going to say something else.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say they did Metal FX, which is, what you said is AMD's FSR. I think it's just like 1.0 FSR, actually. I don't think it's 2.0 based or anything above that. But with Cyberpunk, saying technologies like Metal FX and frame generation, but not saying, what kind of frame generation it is, I think to be honest, I think it's just gonna say AMD frame generation. I don't think Apple is gonna make like a big thing like metal frame gen, or
But
I don't know,
but do you
something.
think it'll be an updated version of Metal FX, like the equivalent of FSR 3.1, maybe?
No, I just have a feeling it's just gonna be frame generation button and maybe like a little info hover thing that says AMD FSR frame generation. It'll probably be the third generation,
But
or
that's going to be left up
FSR
to the
3.
game dev, right? Like that's not going to be like
Yeah.
so
Well,
I guess my question is regarding this: is Metal FX the frame generation it's going to be using? Is that going to be built into the Metal API, or is it something that the like? I guess that's my question. Is that what you're saying? The frame generation is going to be as part of the Metal API, right?
my prediction is it's gonna have regular metal effects like the regular Mac native titles have now, like Grid Legends lets you pick
Resident
like
Evil.
temporal and spatial metal effects like options like that. So it'll have like balanced and quality and ultra performance for
Right.
upscaling, but for frame generation, uh, so with AMD's FSR 3.1 or 2 or something like that, they made the frame generation part to let you. They updated it to let you decouple the frame generation from the upscaling, so you can use DLSS upscaling with AMD's frame generation now. So like I think that's how it's going to work with the Mac port, is now that AMD's FSR frame generation can be decoupled from its upscaler, it's going to be coupled in with Metal FX and stuff like that.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense,
And-
but I guess if we're speculating, I guess I would disagree with you because you don't see where you're doing, when you're within Metal, if you're choosing between how you want your upscaling to work, if you're choosing temporal or spatial, like it doesn't say AMD spatial upscaling. It doesn't say AMD spatial.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, no, it's not going to say AMD for the upscaling part, at least. It doesn't say AMD.
Right. I don't think Apple's going to put AMD's.
It's marketed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's marketed as Metal FX. But
Right.
for the frame generation part, I wouldn't be surprised if it says
I highly doubt it.
AMD.
I really doubt it. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Apple could also pay them to just keep it frame generation.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, Apple will probably if AMD open sources it, then Apple doesn't have to say it's AMD. They don't have to put a brand on it, right? So
Yeah.
if
I just don't know what they're going to call it, you know?
I mean, they probably just call it
guess,
frame generation because it's straight to the point, right?
Yeah, but I guess you're right, but
Maybe
I guess
yeah.
I'm sort of used to like AMD and Nvidia having their kind of like saying like FSR 3 frame generation or DLSS 3 frame generation, you know what I mean?
Apple's gonna want again. Apple's they make products for like average person, right? So like average person who's just a filthy casual in gaming, and they want to flip a button on or off. They don't care. It's like, oh, you want to use AMD FSR frame generation 3.1. Like Apple's not going to give all that to them. They're just going to say frame generation on or off. That's it.
No, yeah, no doubt. I guess I'm just saying maybe they call it like Metal FX frame generation. Maybe that's
It'll be
all it
interesting.
is.
CD
Yeah,
Projekt Red like specifically said frame generation in the little announcement thing, but I wouldn't put too much weight into that.
Yeah. Well, was frame generation capital F, capital G?
They did it like the derpy SpongeBob text.
Okay. Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I'm pulling up
Camel case where it's up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the announcement for that because we're so caught up on frame generation, and it says players can now enjoy advanced features like path tracing. That's pretty insane.
Yeah,
You guys know about
that's
path
the
tracing?
that's the part of the ray tracing hardware that's actually going to make the difference for M4 compared to M3, because the path tracing
I'm just scared.
is
I'm scared.
way better than your normal whatever Cyberpunk's original ray tracing was. Like Digital Foundry proved this. The path tracing for that ray tracing effect is so much better than the indirect bounce lighting that they were using before.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes more power to do it, right?
The
lot more.
The old way. No, path tracing's not as. I thought path tracing was more efficient. That's why it was better.
No, Cyberpunk is definitely known for having, I think they have like a nightmare mode where it's just like path tracing, every type of, new technology that they pushed in is quite difficult to run unless you have like upscaling and frame generation on.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely
all of the hardcore gamers are going to be like, see, these Apple nerds don't know what they're talking about. Apple will never make a gaming platform. It's like there's plenty of...
And they'll be right. They'll be right.
Like I said, I don't think Apple's trying to make it a first choice gaming platform, right?
No, but they're edging in the right direction. They're moving the right way. Sure.
Definitely, yeah. This announcement definitely uplifts Mac gaming for sure, just because of it's such a big game and such a graphically demanding game,
and keeping it in the App Store is just a huge.
That's wild. Like that's like, so
yeah.
With it not staying in the App Store, that is either an antitrust thing that Apple's trying to avoid, or Apple's like, we're just happy to have it over here, right? Or it could be, I mean, yeah, Apple could probably be like, yeah, we're just happy to have it over here. But it could be that CD Projekt Red is like, there's a lot of people with Macs out there that are willing to buy games. Let's see if we can sell Cyberpunk to the Mac crowd, right? I would really like to see what week one sales of Cyberpunk 2077 is on the Mac.
I was going to ask that because, Cyberpunk is a 4-year-old game. It was Game of the Year. It's such a big game that a lot of people have it. I have it.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it. I'm not supporting the Mac port, So it's like, I wonder how it's going to do.
I'm not going to buy it again, but I will say part of the problem is for me, like I'm not going to pay for the game again because I already bought it once and I played through one time and have like 88 hours in just a single playthrough. So
I haven't played any. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like buy another copy and then do another playthrough and be like, all right, it's been another 88 hours of my life living in Midnight City.
Yeah. I have a few hours on it. I never played it a whole bunch, but it's such a big game. A lot of people have it. I'm definitely concerned about the sales, but I think it'll do better.
It's kind of like this could be a maneuver by CD Projekt Red just to get a little additional like revenue into the Cyberpunk brand.
Mm-hmm. And like it's going to be on the App Store as well, right?
Yeah, I believe so. It's going to be
like I wonder how would that just be mods won't work with that? Like,
yeah,
that's how that would work.
That's the issue with. This is why I say Apple's not trying to make the Mac a premier gaming platform, because Apple's never going to support mods on any game because
unless that new game store they're working on has it.
Well, okay, fair enough. That you make a solid point on that. I guess I'm thinking of my time at Apple. Like if you modified anything, beyond the scope of what was like basically the stock configuration, Apple like wipes their hands of it and goes, good luck. Call us when you reset it to factory settings and test it again. So like people are going to be doing like wild mods for their App Store games and calling up Apple like, Fantasia doesn't work when I tried to put in the 8K like texture mod, and it's like
I tried to make everybody Shrek and it didn't work.
Yeah, like Apple's gonna be like the poor like Apple Care tech on the other end of the phone is gonna be like, Okay, well, let's uninstall the game and reinstall the game and delete all your mods and let me know if it works then.
Yeah, I definitely don't see Apple being a big modder, you know.
No.
Yeah, I think that's my. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that they're trying to. I don't think they're trying to be a premier gaming platform. I think they're trying to do something closer to like a console idea. Like they're trying to like Appleize the console,
Like
I would
console
say like
plus or
Switch.
something like
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
you know, I would say more like a Switch. I wouldn't, because you could play the same game on your iPad that you can on your Mac, and if you got a desktop Mac and you got an iPad, you know, when you know, if you're if anything Apple Arcade related, I mean, you can even do it with things that aren't Apple Arcade. We see that with Resident Evil. So you can move your save clunkily. You can move your saves between using iCloud.
Clunkily.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what it is because it's not automatic, right? Like you should.
No, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with iCloud saves these days.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't be. So
Freaking, I lost my Waza P save probably more times than I can count. I can't tell
I
you.
just lost my Stray save. I'm so upset.
oh,
But I will say this, and I'm making this up on the spot, and there's nothing behind this. But I feel like if there was a 2% chance that Grand Theft Auto 6 was coming to Mac, like ever, now that Cyberpunk is coming out, it's like a 5% chance. Like it does. It's an open world game. It's hyper violent, and that's just like not something that you see on the Mac too much. So I think it's never going to happen. But like I feel like definitely a step in the right direction.
yeah. Well, I mean, the Mac is. I mean, you say that, but what have we got coming out? Resident Evil 2, Dead Island 2. Those are going to be hyper violent. Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to be hyper violent.
I'm happy to see it.
Any of these games, to be honest, I'm not. I just don't care. I might play RoboCop, Rogue City. I might do that. Control, I got to play Control. I'll play Wuthering Waves enough to test it, but I won't be. I don't care about the.
Are you guys playing Infinity, Nikki?
Oh, absolutely.
What is okay? So I wasn't sure what that was when I saw it. I was like, it looks like an RPG to me. But what is it? Is it an action platformer?
Put on cute little
like
outfits and fly around.
Is that it?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
My brain can't find the word to kind of describe the game, but
if it's free, I will give it a test for the channel's sake. But I ain't
might
playing
be.
it.
Definitely not free. I think so far it's been a PS5 exclusive until it was announced at the Mac
Infinity
thing.
Nikki official website, the coziest open world game. Here we go. Oh boy.
Or no, it's coming to Windows too, and iOS and Android.
We don't need all this audio right now. Thank you. All right, it's messing up my podcast. Thank you for nothing. Oh wow, this is like way more graphically advanced than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was
The graphics,
like really
not
hard.
putting the game down because of the graphics. The graphics are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Global registrations.
That's why I thought it was
almost 28 million global registrations for this game. What in the world?
Really, I hadn't heard of it until the keynote.
Me neither. It's on PS5.
I saw this
it's on the
at
Epic Game
the,
Store. Pre-order on App Store and Google Play. Wow. Okay.
I saw this at the PS5, one of the direct plays or something that they do.
You saw Nikki?
I saw Nikki, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Apple, I guess, working adjacent to Sony, kind of like it gives me hope that we'll get some Sony ports eventually.
Yeah, well, there might be an opportunity here, just as a matter of the fact that Xbox seems to be like, and Microsoft doesn't know what to do with the Xbox brand, right? Like they just want to make everything a software as a service, or gaming as a service, or whatever the case is. Everything's a live service to them. I mean, they're a software first company, so I kind of get it, but at the same time, because of that, they're not focusing on the hardware. And not to say that they aren't working on games for their platform, because they absolutely are for Windows. It's like, what are they doing here? Like, what's the goal?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
what they're
because of
doing.
that, it kind of creates an opening for, I think, Apple to step in a bit and go, okay, we got this.
And all the Sony ports work remarkably well.
That's true.
If you have at least like 24 gigabytes of RAM, it's so good.
Oh, see, there's the reason to upgrade from 24 gigs right there. It'll run better with more RAM. Not just to avoid kernel crashes, right, or kernel panics from memory overloads or leaks. Goodness, I can't get my words together. The Infinity Nikki webpage is pretty trash though. Like it's chunky and it's struggle busing. Anyway, that's it. That's interesting. The graphics look a lot better than I thought, but it looks like a Korean like dress up my darling RPG.
Yeah, and we're also getting that Where Winds Meet game too.
Right.
I looked that up earlier. That's one of those like what's called a wuxia genre, which is it's WUXIA, which I guess would be wuxia, I think, which is like a martial arts open world like MMO type of game. Like,
and the rumor is that it could be free.
Oh, it's gonna be freemium then.
Potentially. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I'm out.
But again, the graphics look excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. The trailers and the graphics and the gameplay and what they showed off looks pretty cool, but the model that they're going to go about it doesn't sound like too friendly, too consumer friendly.
Yeah.
It seems to me.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's like it seems to me like it looks like a AA Ghost of Tsushima on Mac type of game to me.
And that's NetEase.
Yeah. Yep.
Our old friends NetEase.
I was about to say, what else did they do? Hold on, I know the name, but I can't think of what they make.
Almost Human.
Was that?
Is it Almost Human? Was
that Detroit?
Once Human.
Oh, Once Human. Okay.
Once Human. Sorry. And they make Mumu Player Pro, the Android emulator.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Mumu Player Pro. Yeah. I know that one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love that Apple's making these relationships with different developers. Like you said, like Dead Island 2 is going to be such a good game to run on Mac.
Yep. Blizzard's always supported the Mac, so no surprise World of Warcraft's coming. That's been a great one for Mac for decades. Assassin's Creed Shadows game I'm not going to play because I just don't care about Assassin's Creed like at all. So I'm not going to play it. But I'm glad it's coming to the Mac. Sniper Elite 4, Prince of Persia, Farming Simulator. I'm not going to play that. My family has an actual farm. I don't need to simulate it. So, yeah.
Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2 is going to be good. I'm really interested in Pools because Pools looks like one of these, like, it's almost like in the same vein as like a first-person puzzler, like Portal would be. But it, if I'm not mistaken, it has like some kind of psychological horror element to it, doesn't it?
Jfishin and I tested that a little bit, right?
Yeah, and that was a game that I was kind of surprised that they put up and showed off, and their big feature thing of games.
Yeah,
because
it wasn't.
When the game came out, it didn't really. It made like a small head wave, just about. I think it was mostly about just being like a niche type of high graphic.
I was about to say it's the graphics of it, right? Because I mean, it's if I'm not mistaken, it's Unreal Engine 5, which gives it the look that it has.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Is it Unreal Engine? I think it was Unity, and it's like a single dev or something like that.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong, but
it looks so good.
I remember
Just
being
the quality
impressed
of
by
it
the
is,
graphics.
Yeah, it's bonkers how good it looks.
Yeah, I was just surprised to see it because it's made a small head wave, but not like a huge one to make me think that it would show up on Apple's video.
Yeah.
Well, Apple likes their indie devs. They've always had like this. There's always been like a weird like niche of like indie game devs who make stuff for Mac, and Apple's always been happy to have those kinds of folks on board.
Yeah, Pools is made with Unity.
Okay.
Nice.
That's why, because I was like impressed with the graphics, and I was like, this has got to be Unreal Engine, but nope, I was impressed that it was Unity.
And then like one other thing I was gonna say was like I get excited when I see games like Resident Evil 2, Control, Cyberpunk, because it like Death Stranding, it paves the way to get sequels. Like we could get
Right.
Control 2, hopefully. We could get Alan Wake 2. We're getting Death Stranding 2. It's like I like all these relationships with these big devs because hopefully they are securing future games as well.
Yeah, that's what I hope. I'm really, really hopeful these things sell well. Even if they don't sell on the App Store, if they're selling on Steam, I feel like that just like, kind of it bolsters the cultural awareness and like cultural like cachet of gaming on Mac.
Yeah, these next few years are going to be interesting. Like it could really catch on, I think, or it could die out. And
Yeah.
I'm interested to see that game store leak rumor type of thing that's going on.
Yeah,
With how they're looking to see like I have a separate app just for gaming.
Yeah. Well, that could be
hopefully not just for iPhone.
right. But they might start on iPhone because that's the biggest platform, right? And they'll kind of work out some of the back end logistics and like the enterprise level like IT infrastructure you need for it, and before they move it to Mac. Or it could be because Apple has the APIs and the development tools so close together between Mac and iOS that they don't have to do that much work, if any.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
If just every game out of the box supported a controller, we wouldn't have these issues. Like everything should have controller support. I don't like it. Obviously, has to have touchscreen support because it's a touchscreen device. But like for everything else, like it's a requirement. Like if you're gonna make a game and you're gonna have it be cross-platform, if it's you gotta have controller support.
You gotta.
Civ 7 coming is. I mean, that's Sid Meier's has always supported the Mac, going back to like what Civ 1 was on the Mac, So, and I started my first live stream series on my channel was Civ 6, so
Nice.
I
Yeah. The
got a
idea
place.
is if you end up with the new Mac, what do you think the first game you'll stream will be?
Ooh, this is gonna be. So Mrs. Gaming played through Ghost of Tsushima on the PS4, and while she was playing through it, she wasn't happy with the performance of it because she's not like a performance crazy person like I am, but she just wasn't happy with it. So we got a PS4 Pro, and I put an SSD in there so it would just run a little better and load the textures off of the drive into system RAM better. And then we got the PS5, and so we got the upgrade from Sony. They do that. They're good about that. And so she played through it again, and I haven't played through it yet. So I am like, if I get an M4 Mac, I might just play Ghost of Tsushima through crossover. Like that might be my next.
That would be awesome.
Like game stream, and because there's Ghost of Yote, which is next year, right? Or 26.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's either next year or in 26. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I think we're all looking for like a Jin Sakai like continuation because he's such a great like character, and you can do a lot with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of also like this idea of like, what if it's the ghost is like a legend, right? Like, and you embody the spirit of the Ghost of Tsushima. So like centuries later, you're like the next ghost, which I think is kind of, I mean, what little we know, I think that's what they're going for in Ghost of Yote. So,
yeah, I mean, Sucker Punch games are just so much fun.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful that that's where we'll go. I'm hopeful it'll be good. I don't know if I'm hopeful. Well, I mean, that's where we're going, but I'm hopeful it'll be good.
Like through crossover.
Yeah. Tsushima through crossover for sure, but I'm thinking ahead to Yote. I hope it's also a good game. Like it's not.
Oh yeah.
Some sequels really like fumble it when they're like trying to continue the story of a first game that was a self-contained narrative that you don't need a sequel for.
I trust Sucker Punch. They made 4 Sly Cooper games and they're all bangers.
Well, hey, that's something. I'm gonna definitely like look into it. Like regardless of whether Yote is like whatever platforms it ends up on, I'm definitely gonna at least like check it out and see what I think of it before I, give it a pass fail.
Is it coming out on PC when it lands, or when it comes out?
Ooh, it might just be
I-
PlayStation
I-
at first. It might be PlayStation exclusive at first. So
Yeah,
we'll have
I
time.
think that's the-
We'll have time to learn about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I had on my itinerary. we kind of went through that pretty quick. Like we pretty naturally, like we're at over 2 hours on this now, but we went from like the MacBook Pro into the gaming stuff real smooth there. I didn't realize it's been like more than half an hour since we started talking about the games.
Not overall, I think I'd love to see like an actual keynote, like an hour-long thing. Like the press releases are cool, but
Yeah, that should be something what they do for WWDC, right? Is like they'll have all the new
Yeah.
software tools on day one of the keynote, and then day two they have like a shorter, 30-minute keynote, and it's all about games that are coming to the Mac. Games that might be on
Yeah.
other platforms, but here is how they look on the Mac. Because so I remember when Apple used to do this, like in the 90s and the 2000s, where they'd put a Mac on stage next to a PC and then they'd compare the software side by side. Now, granted, Apple was doing some like squirrely stuff with the software at the time, admittedly, but they had the cojones to like actually go do that. I would like to see Apple do that with the gaming stuff and be like, here's Cyberpunk 2077 at nightmare settings 4K on PC, and here it is on Mac, and you'll notice on the Mac it's got more consistent frame rate, or it's running with 2 gigs less RAM, or it's the CPU temperature is 30 degrees cooler, like whatever it is, right? Like just give us something to make the gamers go, oh man, like the hardcore gamers go, oh man, Apple's like ecosystem is way better than we thought. Like we gotta change the mindsets culturally in the game.
I'm sure
yeah.
as soon as they can, they will do that. But I'm guessing they can't do that yet. That'll be a death sentence.
Say what now?
They
Sorry.
so need to market like gaming to where I could see a marketing. Well, if I was, the ad person or the marketer person doing, TV commercials for Apple, I would definitely do a gaming commercial where you're like doing that comparison versus Mac and PC, like you were saying before.
Yeah.
And have like someone like grab their Mac, and play a game on their lap, and they're just gaming and having having their jolly old time, and then someone else with a PC on the other side of the couch, and they're just like playing hot potato with their PC because it's burning their legs.
It's not a joke. I took my laptop out hooked it up to my TV in the living room a couple of weeks ago, and I have 2 power cords, one in my office and one on the TV, and the power cord on my PC, like on the brick, just came like a little bit loose, so when I plugged it in, it wasn't actually charging it. So I had it set to like the ultimate performance mode, which on the Asus is called turbo mode. And so it was like max CPU, max GPU, like all the power it could do. Fans were at 100%. It literally lasted 7 minutes and it died on me. I was like, this computer is like right at 2 years old. Like this, like
It was a great 7 minutes.
yeah,
though.
it was great though for the 7 minutes it was there. So unfortunately, I had to start. I was playing MechWarrior 5 Clans, so I had to start that mission over. But that's oh well.
M3 Max unplugged playing like a heavy AAA game can get like 2.5 hours.
God,
which is
that's
like
wild, man.
so it's a great 2.5 hours while it lasts.
Well, you don't. That's just it, though. Is you don't lose any performance. This is one thing Apple made sure to do with Apple Silicon is that like you don't lose performance being on battery.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit 5%, you do. That's a secret.
Yeah, sure.
Once you
There's
hit
low power mode, yeah, but like
yeah.
if you're at 100%, 80%, 44%, like and you unplug, you're getting full performance until you hit low power, whatever the low power mode threshold is.
Yeah, it's great. And I think these Macs are a good like launching point for like people experimenting with Macs for gaming, because we already talked about it, but that 8 to 16 gigabytes is a huge it's a huge difference.
There is definitely a mental like barrier in the PC gaming space where it's like you cannot have less than 16 gigs in a gaming PC. Like realistically you can, because there's a lot of old games that look and run great with 8 gigs of RAM. But the zeitgeist is anything like 16 gigs of RAM is like poverty tier minimum bare subsistence level gaming. So it's like you got to have it. You got to have 16 gigs. That's where you have to start.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yep. And D3D Metal recommends 16 gigabytes, so it's great.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
Yep. It says it in the README, I think.
Interesting.
And also, by the time you guys get your Macs, we'll probably have GPTK 2.0 Beta 4.
Yeah. Or maybe out of beta.
Or out of beta,
yeah.
The future's looking bright. It's looking real bright. That's why I'm shutting down my YouTube channel.
Pulling the
Macro
plug.
tips, we barely knew thee. Gone too soon from this world.
JK.
Well,
That's all I got.
I think that's all I got too. Anything for you, Jfishin? Anything other thoughts, questions, concerns, last minute stuff?
I think that's all I got too.
Boy,
It's a great chat.
It's been a great 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Wow, that flew by.
Well, then I will see us on our way out of here. Everybody, thanks for watching or listening, because admittedly, I have some stuff up on the screen. It's not a whole lot to watch. I admit that. I have the links to Mac Pro tips down below. Jfishin, you don't have a YouTube channel, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
Just watch MPT.
Jfishin is part of the MPT.
Is
He's
that
the T in MPT.
Yeah, Jfishin is the is one of the crucial support pillars of the NPT family of channels. So,
Absolutely.
but there's only one channel, I think. I'll have all of Mac Pro tips down below, and then of course, NPT. If you wanna upload this to your channel, I will give you a copy of the video, and you can do so as well. If you want to expand the reach, the goal is to just expand the Apple gaming community. I think we've made it pretty clear tonight. None of us thinks that the Apple ecosystem will ever be the premier gaming ecosystem. It's never going to be like the best of the best, but it's going to be a competent gaming ecosystem, and I think we're all content with that. And so if you're not interested in the EPeen culture of like Windows gaming, come hang out in the Mac gaming community and ecosystem. So
Yep.
Join the Discord.
Join the Discords, man. We got Discords all over the place. PBY makes a great tool called FPS Analyzer. It's the only one of its kind on Mac. There's tons of tools like it on Windows, but it's amazing if you want to look at performance of games on different Apple platforms and performance over time. So it's an app it's a free app in the App Store. I encourage everybody to go get it. Take a few minutes of your day every time you're gaming, just like throw some statistics up there, right? Let us just keep that database updated, and it's just going to be, it's crucial. I think it's a crucial tool for growing the community.
Yeah,
Agreed.
for sure.
Agreed.
It's an amazing app. Definitely can't wait to see it grow.
All right, well, one more time. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you again for watching/listening. Like and subscribe to all of the channels below if you have not already. And I guess we'll see y'all in the next keynote, the next set of announcements, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Definitely see you next event. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you both for wanting to do this. It's crucial. It's one of those just great things that we can all do together, and I appreciate it so much. So, again, take care, everybody. Like and subscribe. God bless you all, and we will look forward to seeing you all in the next announcements. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.